This is gonna be the coolest looking media sample bottle I've ever received, so kudos to you, Lux Row. Hi everyone, welcome to Bourbon Bytes. My name is Clifton, and today I'm reviewing Blood Oath Pact 8. So this is an annual limited edition release from Lux Row Distillery, one of my favorite distillery tours in all of Kentucky. I've had the past couple of packs. I reviewed Pack 7 on my podcast, but I figured with this one, this is a brand new release. It came out this month. I thought I would do a full video for it for you guys. So this year's release is finished in Calvados casks, which is an apple and pear brandy from France. This one also comes in at 98.6 proof, as with all Blood Oath releases, and is available to buy for around $120 MSRP if you can find it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this poured as I get into the details of the whiskey that went into this blend. I mean, you gotta admit, that is a super cool sample bottle. With that, I just wanna say thank you to Lux Row for sending the sample for review. So the 2022 release is a blend of 3 different bourbons. So there's a 14-year high rye bourbon, an 11-year high rye bourbon, and an 8-year high rye bourbon that's been finished in the Calvados cask. So I'm not sure about other releases, but this one, only one of the 3 is actually finished in those casks, rather than, all 3. So with that said, let's go ahead and give it a nose. Interesting. So on the nose, this is super oak forward. I know there is some older bourbon that's in here. I wasn't expecting it to be so dominant though. This nose is like a really well-aged Kentucky bourbon. It's a little bit dry, not as sweet as I would have expected based on the finish, but it's a really rich, dense kind of note, something that I would associate with, a high-aged Heaven Hill product like Elijah Creek Barrel Proof or a Knob Creek Single Barrel, one of the older releases. There's like a hint of like baked apples or stewed apples on the back end of the nose there, but you kind of have to hunt for it. It's definitely dominated by those rich oaky notes. So let's go to give it a taste and see how it does on the palate. Cheers. I'm always a little hesitant on proof because this is only 98.6, which, I know I say only, but y'all know I like higher proof whiskeys for the most part. However, this actually does really nice. It starts out very approachable and easy at the front of the palate, but the back end gets a bit spicy, and I think that gives it a little bit of a kick that I think it makes it drink a little bit higher proof, which is good in my book. But still, up front, it has all of that oak. This is definitely a really nicely aged bourbon. If you are a fan of those really rich, dark notes, you're gonna love this. Just think like espresso, dark chocolate, those really rich notes that kind of lack sweetness but are so bold and big. That's what I'm getting on this whiskey. There's maybe a bit of like nutmeg and a little bit of cinnamon mid-palate, but the finish still goes back to that dark, rich oak. And I find that I'm having to kind of hunt for that kind of apple or like pear brandy note that I know is in this from the finish. And even when I'm trying to think of it, I can't say that I pick it up. And it's been a minute since I've had any Blood Oath, so I had a little bit left of my sample of Pack 7. Like I said, I reviewed this one on my podcast, which, by the way, you can download the Bourbon Bytes podcast. I put out new episodes every Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. That was a really fun episode. Now, Pack 7 was Sauterne cask, so another wine cask finish. I think that had much more of an impact on the palate and the nose of Pack 7 compared to Pack 8. But having just tried it, the base whiskey in Pack 8 is so much better. It's a lot richer, it's a lot oakier, and that's just my favorite flavor profile. So if you are looking for the type of finish that maybe Pack 7 or some of the releases have given you, that really big, bright, fruity finish, this doesn't quite have it. It's almost kind of lacking in that department, but it makes it up in that whiskey that's used as the base of this. That 14-year, 11-year, and 8-year-old bourbon are just delicious. At $120, being a yearly limited release, I think it's a fair price. There are some more oaky bourbons that you can find that flavor profile that are a bit more affordable, but the bottle itself is super cool. If you collect all of the Blood Oaths, you gotta add this to your lineup. But I'm really curious to hear from those of you that have tried, Pack 5, 6, 7. How does this compare? Because I think for me, I'm just really not picking up on that dominance of the Calvados finish. It's just very, very subtle on the nose, and I really have to hunt for it on the palate. So maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I just haven't had, honestly, I haven't had Calvados, so I can't really tell you what that tastes like. I have had apple brandy, I have had grape brandy, I've had pear brandy, so I'm familiar with that. However, I have not actually had Calvados, so maybe it's a bit more subtle than I'm expecting. Let me know in the comments below for sure, but thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more whiskey reviews. But until next time, this has been Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. I'm Clifton, cheers, and I'll see you next video.